Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. I have taken a much needed break after my double mastectomy. I am still kind of in the healing phase of everything. I'm just almost 4 weeks out, but I got kind of excited and thinking about planning and what my system was going to look like starting in July. And I kind of saw the chatter about One Book July, which is not something that I have really participated in the past. But I thought that there was no time like right now than to jump in and start kind of diving in and seeing how it would work for me. Okay, so what actually is One Book July? So in my truly extensive 2 minutes of research, I had found that traditionally in the planner community, it's when you kind of simplify your system and choose one book for the entire month that's going to be your system, kind of put all the other clutter away that may be kind of adding more stress than productivity to your system. Now, I've also kind of in that, again, 2 minutes of research, saw that a lot of people put their own spin on it, which I love. I don't really care for hard and fast rules when it comes to planning and journaling, so let's kind of talk about that a little bit more. Now, what I do love about One Book July is that it's a great way to finish something, right? So maybe you've kind of had a journal or a memory keeping book or a junk journal that you have kind of been wanting to work on but haven't really given much attention to. One thing that I love about this project, that's pretty much what I'm just going to call it from here moving forward, is that it is a great way to kind of focus on something that you maybe wanted to complete that you didn't get complete before. It's also a great project to start something new and fresh if you are in a state of like chaos and overwhelm, which is kind of where I'm at. I am an academic year planner at heart, so I was kind of excited about this because I kind of grabbed a stack of planning options that I was kind of eyeing and kind of really wanting to try, but then I also found myself getting overwhelmed with like the decision fatigue and feeling like, well, I could use this book for this and I could use this book for that, and I wanted to give everything a purpose because I felt like it was wasteful not to. And while trying to not be wasteful, I was like adding more to like my mental load and was like, why am I doing this? You know? And so that's when I kind of started looking into One Book July, like what could I do? There's no time like right now for me in my life where things are a little bit extra slow because again, I'm still recovering from my surgery. And kind of jumping into this project and seeing how it would work for me. For me personally, One Book July is going to be used as a project and a focus tool. Since like I said, I am an academic year planner and I do have like a huge stack of planners that I wanted to choose from, I just decided to kind of quickly make a list of what I had used for the past 6 months, what was working for me, what was not working for me. And in a conversation with my friends, we had kind of talked about, hey, what are we all jumping into in July? And I was kind of thinking about like my A6 and how I loved it, but it was a little bit too small. Like I love how the pages are filling up, but I had like a hard time with days where I wanted a little bit more space and I just couldn't get there. And then that got me thinking about my A5 hobonichi, which you guys know I have loved, and I just kind of felt like it was getting harder and harder for me to fill up the days. These are not great examples. They were definitely filled up. But as the last few weeks where I'm just in like recovery mode, I had like, this just felt very overwhelming to fill up these pages. So I kept thinking about what would be a great in between size, and I started dabbling back into the B6 Common Planner. And I really liked the size because I didn't feel, especially on the daily pages, I didn't feel like I needed the A5 size, which when you really think about it, when you're using an A5 hobonichi cousin, when you just look at kind of the blank pages, you're really like the usable space, the space with the grid is essentially pretty close to the same size. It's also a little bit more narrow by just a couple of columns. I'd say 3 or 4 columns, but the top to bottom space, you're really just taking off that bottom little area where there's usually a quote or something like that. Is it that different in size? Maybe not. Maybe I'm just needing an excuse to try something new. But for the purpose of One Book July, I really think that I am going to jump into the B6 Common Planner. These are some pages from before, like way back in May, where I was just kind of putting like a schedule. Like I really did not make anything fancy out of these pages, and I liked it. And I played around with some of the weekly pages and just kept it very simple. And I also liked this as well. So it just got me thinking, maybe this could be my one book. It solves the size problem. It solves a couple of problems for me because one, I still really love using Tomoe River paper. So that was a plus for me. I love the size. That was another plus for me. And I'm still really loving bound books. Not that I don't love coiled planners, but I think I'm just still really in love with a bound book. And I love the way that this was feeling in my hand. So this was the one for the full year. Recently, they launched their academic year books, and I went ahead and I ordered one because I thought to myself, if I'm going to start anything in July, I would rather not have like the other half of the empty year, which I know seems very wasteful, but I'd rather just not have the other half of the empty year in that book. It would just bug the living daylights out of me. So I did get the academic common planner in B6, and I'm already loving it. So in today's video, I'm just going to show you how, now that I've blabbed on for 5 or 6 minutes, just kind of show you what this is going to look like for me in July. Now, not every single page is set up, and I'm just going to get some of these other planners out of my way really quick because they are kind of crowding the space. And I'm honestly just kind of excited to have this one book and not feel so overwhelmed and distracted. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the Common Planner, it is very similar to the Hobonichi, but I would say that it doesn't have like the color on the pages, little things like that, and the font is different. Other than that, you're getting a lot of the same features, similar-ish. So you have like the year at a glance. I think here I'm just gonna use it for like paydays and maybe marking like if we go out of town, things like that. There's not a whole lot of space to actually like write what's going on that particular day, so I'm not going to use it for anything like that. I did decide that these 2 grid pages, I am going to use it for a Tombow swatch page. I just kind of tabbed what the use for these pages were going to be because, again, I don't have everything fully set up. I'm just not on my game this year where I had my planner ready to go for the 1st of July, but I'm going to get there. Like I said, this is going to be a project for me, so I'm going to work on these pages maybe a day at a time, a week at a time, and kind of see where I'm at the end of the month. Now, this goal setting breakdown section, I'm not in my like heavy on the goal setting era in my life right now, so I'm thinking that this may be projects, whether it's like my gardening project, which seems to just kind of be ever evolving right now. I'm just trying to make the hydrangeas survive. And if you know, you know, it is truly its own project. So I think that I'm going to work on figuring out what these pages are going to look like. But on this page, it does have a someday, 1 year, half year, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily goal breakdown. So this is going to be a fun page to work on. Now, you do continue to get like these quarterly priorities. So obviously with this book starting in July, you have a section for priorities, and then July, August, September. Then you get that lovely like vertical year at a glance or month at a glance, which has, you know, Hobonichi has and has been known for. This is what theirs look like. Again, very similar, just minus the color on the pages. So I'm going to use this for habits. This morning, I'm actually going to sit down and figure out what those habits could look like in here. I think I'm just going to do a month at a time and see if those habits will roll over into August, if we make it in this book past August. Because again, the whole purpose of this for me for this one book July is to see if this book is something that I can continue beyond July. I can tell you right now, I already feel like it will be. I'm in love with this size. Do I wish Hobonichi had this size? I really do, but I'm glad that Sterling Ink gives us this size. And I know that there are other planner companies as well who do the same. So you have that for each of the quarters all the way through the first half of 2025. Now my month view is really just going to be a month at a glance. You do get June in here, even though this book starts in July. So this morning being July 1st, I'm actually going to go back and put in my June calendar in here, as well as putting in what July is going to look like. June was crazy as all get out. July is a little bit more calm. So there's probably not going to be quite as much in here, but what I typically use my monthly views for is to track paydays, appointments, when my book club is meeting, if I have a day off from work. Now, I am not at work for the month of July, so there won't be a whole lot of work things in here, but I do have continuing appointments for my double mastectomy recovery, so those will also be in here as well. So you get all the month views. Now let's get to the weekly view. It's going to be simple. It's going to be a weekly overview. These do start right on July 1st today. So I'm going to also sit down and plan out this week. This is a very low-key week, so there's not going to be a lot going on here. But that's pretty much what it's going to look like. I do really love the layout in here, again, because there is no color. It's vertical. The hours go from 6 to 12, but that can be AM, PM, really up to you. They don't put AM and PM on here, so you do get a lot of flexibility. Sometimes I use the time, sometimes I don't. It's really whatever you want it to be. Now let's get back to the notes pages. So what is unique about the Sterling Ink Planner, if you're not familiar with it, is you do have enough pages for a day for every day of the year, but they are not dated for you. They are numbered, and I believe it's 369, so you get a couple extra. What I love about this is that you don't get the guilt of skipping a day, right? I'm that person who has that guilt of skipping a day in my book because it's dated. So I kind of love that it's undated, but also the caveat is having dated pages kind of holds you accountable. It's kind of like your hand being held, like go back and journal about this day. So it's really going to depend on what do you need out of your planner? Do you need the planner to discipline you and kind of keep you on track with where you are in your daily pages? Or do you prefer the flexibility of having a blank page? And today is not going to be a journal page. It's going to be a quotes page or whatever you want it to be, or I'm just going to make a list. It has nothing to do with a specific day. So I kind of like the flexibility with that. And this is how I've set it up so far. So where the book ends at the end of June 2025, I left this page blank. I don't know. I like starting on the right side. That's just how my brain works. And I just did like a quick little sort of a title page for the month of July. I used some Randy Dot Plans stickers, one of my favorite sticker shops, and these dots are very crooked. I'm fully aware. If I can get them back up, I'm gonna fix them, but I wasn't paying attention when I put them down, and I was like, oh, when I looked back, I was like, those are really crooked. So anyway, I put down some Happy Planner stickers, a little mini calendar, and I'm just gonna put in here some events that are happening for this month. And then the only other page I've really set up so far is I kind of want to, again, treating this like a project, have a page devoted to One Book July. So at the end of the month, I can kind of map out what worked throughout the month, what didn't work, and what I'll be doing moving forward. Am I going to stay in this book? Am I going to add something else to the mix? What are we doing? I also grabbed some date covers from Randy Dot Plans. I haven't put any of these down because, again, I really want that flexibility of having an undated book, but also I thought, how cool would it be to just kind of date like a week at a time, maybe a couple of days at a time, and just kind of use it like that and see how it works. Or I could also split the pages in half, since this is not a very busy season of life for me, and do, you know, a day here, a day here. Really, you could do whatever you want or split it horizontally. It's a really awesome thing to have blank pages, but also you have to make some decisions. So that is where I'm at with this book. This is going to be my one book July. I know it's going to look different for everyone. I've kind of watched a couple of fun videos from a couple of years back, and I loved seeing the ones where people just like it was their project working on a journal or memory keeping that they didn't finish last year. That was really cool. What I'm not going to do is be super strict with myself and just kind of go with the flow and see how this works for me. I don't think I have ever stuck to just one book for an entire month, so I can't wait to come back at the end of the month and see, did this work for me? Was it a complete disaster? Did I actually stick to just using one book? Today, I'm actually going to take that huge stack of planners, put them away in my closet in my office, and kind of have this just kind of out of sight, out of mind, so I can truly give this my focus and see how it goes. I really want to give it a fair shot. So that's where I'm at. I would love to know if you are also doing One Book July, and if you are, what is your book? What is your project? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys for being so patient with me as I took a little break from posting content over here, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you are already subscribed, make sure you click that notification bell so that you know when my videos are posted here on YouTube. As always, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.